Okay? So why else does direction matter? So the first reason is that we want to achieve the goals, to achieve the vision of the organization. Right? What's another reason that giving direction matters?
And there's nothing more deflating than working really hard and feeling like you've done the right thing and you've done really well at something only to find out that it's lovely that you did that, but it really didn't help us at all. It didn't didn't take the boat where it needs to go.
Yes, I agree with that. You've worked really, really hard.
Wrong direction.
Yeah, I agree. It's deflating. You've worked really hard on something, but it doesn't matter. Well, I've been there many times here.
And it can also undermine other people's work.
That's true. It can be counterproductive.
I think you talked about, I don't know if it's at this class or another class, but about people welding, and they were putting all this weld in because they thought that was going to be really good, and then the next group was having to grind all that excess weld off because there wasn't that communication. So
that's in the lean course. I use that example. I'm thinking about something else. Look at this slide again. Direction, clear results areas, measurements, and goals. Okay. Now, from a strategic standpoint, let's have everyone go in the right direction. Working in synergy, right? We're doing all things together to support the right direction. Think about it from a human perspective. From an individual worker perspective, why does this matter?
To track your progress.
To track progress. What else?
Part of the bigger picture, like what you did contributed to everybody else's goal. Just helps you be a part of everything.
Absolutely. No, and I didn't even think about that, Abby. It was awesome. You and Teresa and Joey are doing some great comments here. Ideally, all the puzzle pieces fit. Everyone's doing their piece, and at the end of the day, we're going to win the game, whatever it is. Okay, and certainly, I would encourage you, and I've encouraged you earlier, if you have an opportunity to coach something, I think you'll develop your leadership skills in the process of coaching. I certainly have. You're looking to put the people on the spot. I'm thinking about soccer. We're in the midst of soccer season. This is the shirt I wear on soccer days, by the way. We're doing pumpkins tonight, so it's pumpkin shirt today. But my girls' team is the Orange Crush, so I'm wearing orange for them. But certainly in that team, you've had to look. I've got some skill sets, and where am I going to put those girls on the field so they can maximize our chance to win? And you'll be doing the same thing. Okay. Now, what Abby's saying is how everybody knows that what they're doing matters and that they're contributing to something bigger. What I was thinking about with that particular bullet was that people have a sense of accomplishment. You set a goal, you finish it. Now, I'm guessing that all of us in this room, except for me, are pursuing a degree and that you're going to graduate soon. And the day that you walk across the stage in the big white building across the street, that day, you're going to have a lot of confidence and a feeling of accomplishment. Would that be fair? It's taking you years to achieve this goal. But the feeling of accomplishment is almost euphoric. Really. And my graduate students have already graduated, know what I'm talking about, yes? I'll never forget. And it wasn't the day I got my PhD. It was a day that I went and picked up my diploma, which is a separate thing at the University of Texas at Arlington. In the graduation, they hand you this book, which is nothing. It's nothing inside the book. They just hand you this book. But when you have to go later to pick up your diploma, and I went over there I don't know how many weeks later and picked it up and walked across campus back to where I was parking and thinking, this is it. I'll never, ever have to do another class again. Little did I realize I'd be doing 15 more years of classes. But the accomplishment that people will have, the feeling of accomplishment with that accomplishing goals, it just can't be replaced. It's that wow, okay? Now you are going to have to coach. Now we talked about that already. I can tell you from personal experience that when you're not coached and you're not mentored and no one knows what you're doing and no one cares, it's a very sapping experience. Okay? You don't want us to graduate from here realizing that that's not the way to go. Even if your personal tendency is not to be a mentor, I'm telling you, go coach a team and then try to get into that mindset. Okay? I'm not the only one saying it. Agreed? We read a Harvard Business Review article that talked about coaching. We've had my slides that have talked about it. We've got the Zapp book that have talked about it. And we're going to read Good to Great starting Monday. Which I'm assuming no one's actually started to read Good to Great till now, so I'm pretty safe in saying it won't stop until Monday. But in Good to Great, you're going to talk about coaching. Well, if we have zapped people, their effects, they're going to feel responsible. They know where they stand. They have some say in how things are done. Some control over their work. And treat it as a valuable asset. All the opposites. And a nice observation from the book is that it's easy to sap people. It takes more thought and effort to zap people. It takes more time. And you got to stop and make time to do it. Now, this is where, if you're following along in your book, first effort on the notebook. Now, the notebooks are nice because they're kind of a summary of what goes on in the story. And so this is one of the notebooks. Now, I think it's one to find this. This is what point of the book? I don't know. Someone can find it for me. I got it here.
55?
55 in your book.
68.
68 in some other book. I guess it doesn't matter. But I was looking to see. Because my slides mirror the order of the book. Okay.
104, but that's 460.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out. So if I'm going to zap people, and these are easy test questions, right? Easy ones. I'm going to maintain their self-esteem. Now, what does that really mean in the terms of the book? Maintain what's he getting at? Maintain self-esteem.
Build people up instead of knocking them down.
Okay, very nice.
Maintain a feeling of importance.
Yes, absolutely. And then he talks about here, listen and respond with empathy, which is active listening, basically. If you go to communications class, they'll talk about active listening, and that's what it is. So I'm listening to someone with the trying to understand their perspective and their point of view. Ask for help in solving problems, which gets people involved in decision making. That's what that does. It's the beginning of getting people involved, is to ask for help. You as the manager are not going to do it all. So, delegating responsibility, you've got some choices there. Certainly, you want to give it to the right person. And what's important about this is you're telling, I'm asking you to do this, carry this task out, and make decisions about how to execute this. So you're giving the task to them, and they're going to take it. Now, me may tell them what the end condition is, the goal, but they're going to execute that task. But you might have some situations where you've got to maintain some decision-making authority in it. Maybe you're asking for suggestions. That depends on the situation. Or you can just keep the task yourself. Now, if you keep the task, you're not really delegating, are you? So probably that would not be one of the delegations. If I keep the task, I'm not delegating to anybody. But these are things I could do. And I can see situations where you're going to delegate the task, but at the end of the day, you have to have the final approval. I can see that. Depends on what it is. So these are different basically ends of the spectrum is the way I see it. Okay. So with delegating comes a need to set up some controls. Now, basically saying we're not going to go and give people power without having some sort of boundaries. That if you have a boss who over controls saps his people. So you have to give people some room to operate, room to make decisions. If you're always micromanaging and making decisions for them, then they're never going to get a chance to try it on their own. A boss who abandons control saps his people, meaning that I'm going to give it to you, but I'm not going to give you any more guidance from here on out. That's tough too, but particularly if you've never done it before and they've told you to go do it. Okay? A boss who uses situational control zaps his people, meaning I'm going to be careful about when I give influence or give some thoughts on things. People only respond negatively to controls when they are inappropriate for the situation, which is going to take some experience. Okay? So, what this slide is saying, slide 18, we're not going to micromanage people, meaning we're not going to be checking over their shoulder every day. You got to give them a chance to try it. One of my former students, and I believe I'd love to show that video to you guys. One of my, as you know, coming up next month, we're going to have a guest speaker. And I believe a couple of years ago, we had a guest speaker, and he was talking about delegation. And what he's saying, and I think ties into slide 18, he was saying that if you delegate something, they may not do it the way you would have done it. It may not be the best way. It may not be the most efficient way. But that's the way they've decided to do it. To me, as long as if it meets it's going to be on time, on budget, meet the performance expectations, and is safe. You got 4 criteria, basically. Take the project management course with me. We'll talk about it. All right? But it's on budget, on time, meets performance expectations, and is safe. You got to let them do it. Because if you tell them, no, you can't do it that way, then they're going to feel sapped. But he said, be prepared for people to do it in another way that you would not have done. Fair enough. Okay? As long as it works, you got to let them try it. Yes, it's going to take them 2 days longer. But it'll still be within the schedule, so we're going to let it roll. Everybody with me? You know from your experience there's a better way of doing it. But you're not going to say anything. That's going to be hard, right? Because you're used to telling people what to do. It's going to be counter to what you're used to doing. Okay? We don't want to abandon control either, because then you're not going to know what's going on, and they're going to feel lost. So delegating. So you're still going to know what's going on. You still set a direction that we're all going the same way. Sometimes there are decisions that you have to make that they can't. Things that are beyond their span of control. Offer a guiding hand, but they're open doors to clear the way. Maybe part of what they need to do is talk to another department, and you're going to go and talk to that department head and try to establish a communication. Okay. That's easy to do. Now, we've got to get everybody going in the right direction. We talked about that a little bit earlier. So an example was the REM reliability. The measurement was the number of reported breakdowns. The goal was to make REM 100% breakdown free within a year. Okay, so we have a goal. We have a measurement. We have some way of feeling accomplished about what we're trying to do. So that's a nice little goal there. Okay, now when it says constant performance feedback relative to goals keeps Zapp at a high level. Okay, so what is feedback?
Well,
Or
you need to keep it up. This is what, I guess this is something more that you should look into. You've gotten here, that's amazing, but there's a little more that I guess you should look into.